welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be talking about some of the stories I've read growing up, the different books, some of the different series, and then some of the stories that I want to write, and some of the stories I've tried to write as well. When I think about the stories I've read, think about the stories I want to write, I've always read stories about in the genres of fantasy and sci-fi, mostly fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi, but that's mainly where I've focused on. Same thing with writing. I've usually tried to write fantasy stories. I've gotten a little bit into some a sci-fi story here or there. When I think about stories that in books that I read growing up, Redwall is probably the first series that comes to mind. It's the one that I've probably read the most in because there's a lot of books in it. Animals are the main characters. Different mice or squirrels or otters. Taking up swords or a bow or a shield or stuff like that to fight against, like weasels or rats. They're just filled with charm, and they're very witty stuff. One thing I remember when reading them was a word I kept coming across, and I hadn't heard it before. It wasn't a common word, but I kept on pronouncing it vitals. And it's actually pronounced vittles. I think it means food. I think contextually I understood that, but for the longest time when I read it, it was always vitals. V-I-T-T-L-E-S. The other series that I think about, where when I first started getting into it, I just ate it up. I think I read the first book in less than a week, but it was called the Ranger's Apprentice series. I remember I just flew through the first book whenever I got it. It was really cool as a kid. It revolved around this boy. I think he was like 15. He got chosen to be part of this elite group called the Rangers. It really reminded me a lot of Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. They had a cool bow, some cool knives, and it was very action-packed. Some of the sci-fi books I read growing up, like I said, it was less than the fantasy genres. But, it was Star Wars. I read some Star Wars books. One series focused on Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi as Obi-Wan was a Padawan. I remember going to my library and being kind of, I read a couple of the books, but I was frustrated because they would have, books 2 and 3 and 5, and then they wouldn't have any other books. So I'd try to talk to the librarian and see if I could rent them from the other libraries. It was always frustrating because I couldn't read the whole series, and that's always kind of been a thing for me. It's I want to finish the whole series. And I also read the Hand of Thrawn Trilogy as well. It's probably with the expanded universe Star Wars books, it's probably one of the most well-known series. But I never actually finished that either because I only read the first 2 books. But it was I remember really enjoying it. It was pretty cool. But yeah, just not being able to finish a series always kind of frustrates me. So the question, what kind of stories, what kind of books do I want to write? Well, I'm going to hold off on writing books. I'm going to focus on short stories because I've always, in my head, whenever I've gone to write something, it's always been this very long book in my head. I want to write a trilogy, I want to write a series of books, and I've barely gotten a couple pages sometimes with some of the different series or some of the different ideas I've had. One story idea I remember that I had growing up, I think I was in kind of early high school, was this, I named it Peter and the Wolf after, I know there's some story about Peter and the Wolf, I think it might be Russian. I don't know if it's a folk tale or what it might be. I remember watching some cartoon named Peter and the Wolf that I think was taken from some folktale as a kid, but I can't remember finding anything about it online, but I should probably look again. But if you know anything about that, let me know down below. But I named it Peter and the Wolf, and you have a main character, Peter, and then you have this kind of werewolf-like creature. It's not a werewolf, but it's trying to capture Peter. And then you have a third character named Derek, who is trying to protect Peter from this werewolf character. And Derek and the werewolf character aren't from here. my idea was that they were from a different world, different dimension, and I never could settle on why the werewolf character was trying to capture Peter. There's something special about him, obviously, but I kind of tooled around with the idea that maybe Peter was originally from this other world, but I don't know, it didn't quite seem to fit for me. So Derek, the guy trying to protect Peter, and the wolf, they have these, they're supposed to have these amazing powers, and whether it's magical powers or superpowers, I just never really settled on, what made them special, where they got them from. But I did try to work in kind of like a backstory with Derek and this wolf character, how they used to know each other and be friends, but then something tore them apart. I never had a really good idea on that. And I played around with a couple different settings of the other dimensions that they were from. Like they were from this chain of islands in the middle of a vast ocean. Yeah, there's a lot of different ideas that I had floating around with it. It's something that I don't know where I'm at right now with what I'm wanting to do with stories and the direction I'm wanting to go. And if I want to come back to this story and try to finish it or try to see it to its completion, because from what I've said, I haven't had like a breakthrough with what I want to do with this story. So yeah, I don't know if where I want to go with this story right now. But I just, that's the point of this channel, to tell you guys about the stories I've tried to write, and to hopefully give you the stories that I've finished. One way I've thought of trying to let you all have access to the stories is just start up a simple blog site and put my stories on there and put a link in the description of the blog site. And then when I release a new story, give a synopsis about the story and tell you guys to go check it out on the blog. I don't know if I'll actually narrate the story or read it out. I'll probably eventually do a couple videos like that where I narrate or read the stories out, but that's my my thought anyway. Probably what I'll do at the beginning, and maybe I'll have a better idea or something like that as this channel progresses. But yeah, thank you guys for stopping by. But please comment down below what you thought about the books that I used to read, and definitely please tell me what you think about the story idea I have of Peter and the Wolf. Would love to hear what any of y'all think about it. Let me know if you think I should bring it to completion, or maybe should I just scrap the idea. But yeah, thank you guys for coming by, and I hope to see you in my next video.